Chosen one, be careful. The fact that you're seeing this right now means something in you has already awakened. Something unseen has conspired to guide you here. What if I told you that they never wanted you to remember the power they try to bury? You felt the pull, the tug deep in your soul, telling you there's more. Truths hidden just beyond the veil of everyday life. This video is not here for idle scrolling. It is here to shatter the silence and call you back to the voice they stole. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because what you learn now will change everything you thought you knew. The power and weight of a name. Have you ever woken from a dream where a voice whispered your true name, only to find a memory slipping away with the morning light? In that fleeting moment, something inside you recognized a truth you couldn't yet grasp. This is your invitation to step into the space between worlds, where the air itself hums with possibility and purpose. Imagine the whisper as a thread connecting you to a tapestry woven before time began, a tapestry that carries every choice, every longing, every spark of divinity waiting to be reclaimed. You felt this presence at the edge of awareness, an echo of something far greater than the everyday. Now, as you settle into the hush of this moment, know that what you've sensed all your life is ready to emerge from the shadows. There was a time when you believed confusion was simply part of being alive, that your heightened sensitivity was a burden to keep hidden. You remember moments in crowded rooms when a single glance seemed to carry the weight of unspoken stories, and you wondered why your heart pounded at the slightest act of injustice. Perhaps you caught yourself teary-eyed at a stranger's pain, or you felt a quiet sorrow ripple through your bones when harmony was broken in the world around you. These experiences left you isolated, searching for someone who understood why you were so easily moved. That deep ache of isolation and longing for a deeper meaning is not a mistake. It is a rainbow-colored thread that reveals your soul's calling. What if the confusion, the intensity, the loneliness you felt were never random? What if each moment of feeling too much or not enough was a deliberate note in a cosmic symphony designed to awaken you? Long before your first breath, there existed an unseen architecture guiding every step you would take. In Isaiah 62 verse 2, the text declares, "Thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name." This promise suggests that your life's seemingly chaotic patterns were actually the shaping forces of a divine plan. The friction you experienced was the crucible refining your spirit, preparing you for the revelation of a name that holds ancient power. Your story was never off script. It was meticulously penned by the hand of eternity. Lately, you may have noticed subtle ripples in your reality, moments of deja vu that felt like echoes of another life, or dreams so vivid they painted your waking hours with soft, golden light. There were times when a shiver ran down your spine, and you sensed the presence of something unseen, as if a gentle hand rested on your shoulder to remind you that you are never alone. Perhaps you paused mid-sentence, struck by a sudden clarity that transcended logic, guiding you toward an answer you hadn't realized you sought. These small, often overlooked shifts are not mere coincidences. They are signposts marking the path back to your true identity. The universe is speaking to you in a language older than words. You might wonder if you simply imagined these stirrings, that your intuition was a trick of the mind rather than a gift from the divine. Yet every time you acted on that quiet knowing, miracles followed in its wake. Doors opened unexpectedly, relationships deepened, and solutions appeared where none seemed possible. You are beginning to see that your inner compass is always pointed toward truth, even when the world tried to claim otherwise. This awakening unfolds gently, like dawn's first light coaxing darkness to retreat. There is safety in this process. The ground beneath you is solid, built on the assurance that you have been guided here with unwavering purpose. As you lean into this unfolding awareness, you discover that remembering who you are is not an act of becoming something new, but an act of reclaiming what was buried. Beneath the layers of doubt and fear lies an identity forged in the very heart of creation. Think of Moses at the burning bush, called not to invent his destiny, but to return to the calling stamped on his spirit from before he drew breath. Your true name, like his, is an archetypal marker, an unshakable anchor that endures across lifetimes. In recovering it, you reconnect with the original blueprint of your soul, the divine signature that no force can erase. Now, feel the stirring of that name within you, the first activation of a power you've carried in silence. This is not a sudden eruption of energy, but a steady flame kindling from within, warming your resolve and illuminating your path. Embrace the reality of your sensitivity, for it is a lens through which you perceive the hidden harmonies of existence. Honor your hunger for wisdom, for it propels you toward deeper communion with the source of all life. Each heartbeat signals your readiness to step into a more potent expression of your calling. You are not merely waking up. You are stepping into the role you were born to play. Rest in this moment and know that finding this message was no accident. You are standing at the threshold of a new chapter, where every echo of your true name reverberates with purpose. Allow yourself to breathe in the certainty that you have arrived exactly when you were meant to. Comment name if you feel the resonance of your calling stirring in your heart. What you encounter next will deepen this revelation and guide you toward reclaiming the authority written into your very essence. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. When the world tries to rename you, have you ever paused mid-conversation when someone called you by a name that didn't feel like yours? In that split second, your chest tightens and you realize the sound doesn't resonate with your soul. It's as if an echo of another life, one forged from fear rather than purpose, was thrust upon you. This is the moment when the world's attempts to rename you first surfaces. A quiet dissonance, a knot of unease that signals something deeper is at play. You sense that you've been given labels not to reflect who you truly are, but to keep you small, tethered to stories spun by others. In that instant, you catch a glimpse of the effort to trap you in a narrative of lack, and you realize your journey has always been more than what meets the eye. There was a time when you carried those borrowed names as if they were truths. You felt the sting of being called too emotional when tears welled up at injustice, or too strange because your dreams painted pictures others could not decipher. Each mislabel carried the weight of shame, rejection from those you sought to belong with, the gnaw of self-doubt creeping into your thoughts. You learned to brace yourself when someone introduced you, wondering what version of you they would present this time. The shame whispered that maybe those names were right. Maybe you were weak. Maybe you were unworthy. Maybe you were invisible, yet in the quiet of your heart, something always resisted that verdict, yearning for the name that echoed beneath the imposed titles. What if none of these labels were accidents? What if every you can't and you shouldn't was part of a vast, hidden framework designed to obscure your true identity? In the days of exile, prophets like Ezekiel wandered in foreign lands, stripped of their names and titles, so that when they spoke choice truths, their voices could only come from spirit, not from the reputation of men. Like them, you have been pressured by systems, cultural expectations, outdated traditions, the unconscious biases of those around you, each one exerting energy to reshape who you believe yourself to be. This pressure was not random. It was a response to the potential they sensed in you, a sacred battle fought in the hidden chambers of your soul. Looking back, patterns begin to emerge that you once overlooked. There were jobs where your creative spark was dimmed by managers who didn't understand your vision. Friendships that frayed when you dared to suggest a path less traveled. Invitations to speak or lead that fizzled after you shared a glimpse of your passion. Each of these moments felt like another sign that you didn't belong, but now they stand out as obstacles deliberately positioned to test your resolve. It's as if someone held a dimmer switch on your life, lowering your light to see if you would accept a smaller version of yourself. In remembering these patterns, you begin to see the blueprint of their interference. Then came the moments when the sabotage became impossible to ignore, when proposals vanished from inboxes, when ideas you held sacred were repackaged and presented by others as their own, when the very air around you felt thick and unbreathable. In those times, you sensed silent watchers in the periphery of your awareness, energies or people operating in the shadows to stifle your growth. Biblical imagery comes to mind. Jesus walking through a whispering crowd in Nazareth, yet finding no honor in his hometown. Their familiarity bred contempt, not celebration, and their silence became a barrier. You have felt that same fog, that same heavy air, pressing against your throat to keep your voice quiet. Faced with this pervasive suppression, you responded in ways both familiar and surprising. Some days, You curled inward, shrinking until you thought perhaps you could disappear entirely, hoping that in being unseen, you would not be targeted further. Other days, you'd done the massive compliance, nodding along to avoid conflict, only to feel resentment coil around your heart. There were moments when anger flared beneath your calm exterior, prompting quiet act of rebellion. Half-finished letters scorched and torn, words written in the dead of night and then abandoned. Through it all, the fear of standing out warred with a deeper hunger to break free. You realized that survival felt safer than authenticity, until it didn't. But here's the turning point. The very resistance that sought to mute you became the clearest sign of your power. Every closed door, every stolen credit, every whispered rumor was evidence that you carried something they could not touch. Remember Rahab in Jericho, whose act of faith repainted her reputation from outcast to heroine. The walls that pressed against her city trembled not because she was humble, but because she believed her name marked her for a greater story. Similarly, your attempt to honor imposed names only magnified the divine name whispered over you before time began. Now, feel that name rise within you. It is not a fresh invention. It is an awakening of what has always been. The weight of others' words loses its grip as you reclaim the truth of your identity. Speak it inwardly first, softly, in the secret chambers of your heart. Then let it echo outward, carrying the authority that fear could not steal. In speaking this name, you are not forging a new destiny, but stepping into the one inscribed on the stars for you. Common identity if you recognize how each attempted renaming has become proof of your calling, and share a moment when you first felt your true name stirring beneath the imposed labels. What comes next will guide you in anchoring this reclaimed identity, so you can stand unshakable in the power you were born to wield. And to every soul who supported with super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here when others use your name without honor. Have you ever been struck by a moment so precise it felt like the universe paused just to whisper in your ear? One day you catch yourself noticing the same constellation of words repeating in articles, the same sequence of numbers etched across receipts, as though reality itself were pressing you to read between the lines. In that instant, the veil lifts for a fleeting breath, and you sense that everything you once dismissed as coincidence is actually a signpost pointing to your true name. Clarity arrives like dawn light spreading across a dark landscape, and you realize that the confusion you lived with was never permanent. It was simply the silence before revelation. It becomes apparent that life had been speaking to you in a secret dialect all along, the lingering fragrance of a childhood dream, the echo of a phrase that sprang from your lips and returned to you altered. You remember how you used to jolt awake from a dream in which you stood before a vast gate carved with symbols you couldn't decipher, holding a scroll that bore your name in letters of fire, but woke to find only smoke and memory. Those symbols were not random figments. They were codes encoded into the fabric of your soul. Reality is a tapestry woven with threads of sacred geometry, divine math written in the spaces between your breaths. Now that your vision has shifted, you see these patterns shimmering beneath the surface of every mundane moment. As this new sight settles, you notice how your inner world has begun to realign. Your intuition no longer whispers in riddles, but rings out like a clear bell, guiding you away from situations that dim your spirit and toward the people who honor your light. You feel protective boundaries form around your heart, shutting out energies that once left you drained and unsettled. Your energy signature respond to places and faces like a tuning fork. Some resonate with harmony, others clash in dissonance. This is not a hypothetical theory. It is a palpable confirmation of your awakening. Every cell in your body begins to hum with the frequency of your true name, attuned to the hidden melodies of creation. Long before you spoke your first words, the world was already responding to the resonance you carried. Now that you've begun to speak your true name, however softly, however internally, the world mirrors this shift. Doors that were sealed swing open before you even knock, and conversations pivot to reveal opportunities that felt impossible just days ago. Yet, old forms of resistance still rise to test your resolve. A friend who once dismissed your dreams now questions your convictions. or a project that seemed newly attainable suddenly encounters yet another obstacle. This interplay of welcome and rebuff is the divine architecture at work, reflecting the transformation stirring within you onto the canvas of daily life. In the depths of your spirit, a memory surfaces, one that predates your earliest recollections. You see the outline of a temple carved from living rock, its pillars etched with symbols of renewal. You feel the echo of a promise spoken in a voice older than time, that one day you return to this place, not as a wanderer, but as a sovereign bearer of a name that opens realms. This is not nostalgia for something never lived, but the activation of a memory encoded in your DNA. Your soul recognizes the path you walk. Every element of your journey aligns to guide you back to the moment when your truth will be unveiled in full. With this memory blazing in your awareness, you understand that the future is not an uncharted expanse, but the unfolding of a destiny already written. You no longer need to ask permission to step forward, because the call has always been yours to answer. Like the prophets of old who proclaimed the return of an exiled world, you now speak not to seek validation, but to declare what has always been true. Your words carry prophetic weight, stirring the air and bending reality to the shape of your vision. In this new season, you stand at the confluence of what was promised and what is now being claimed. As you prepare to take back your voice, you recognize that every challenge you faced was a confirmation of your power, not a condemnation of your failure. The walls erected to contain you have only highlighted the fire in your spirit. Today, you reclaim what was borrowed, silent no longer. You speak your name into the spaces that once opposed you, and watch as chains that bound you to fear crumble at the sound of your voice. This is the reclamation of your sovereignty, a fierce, undeniable return to the throne of your being. Revelation is never the final act. It is the opening of a grander chapter. What you've seen behind the veil is an invitation to walk in the fullness of your authority, to anchor your true name in prayer, meditation, and every word you speak. Comment realm if you feel the stir of your true name fracturing the silence within you, and share a dream, a memory, or a moment when its echo first touched your spirit. What unfolds next will guide you to weave this power into your daily life, and step unshakable into the realm you were born to inhabit, speaking the name that opens realms. Have you ever stood at the edge of a moment so pregnant with possibility that the air around you seems to hold its breath until you choose? That is where you find yourself now, at the threshold between the person you were and the one you are called to become. In this sacred crossroads, the question arises within you. Will you continue to hide behind the shadows of doubt, or will you step forward and claim the power that has always been yours? This is not mere drama. It is the pivot point of your soul story. The ground beneath your feet hums with anticipation, demanding more than idle reflection. Passivity is no longer an option. Your name, spoken by divine lips since before time was counted, waits for your own voice to awaken it. This is the moment when your inner world must align with the call that is echoed through your spirit, inviting you to cross from dreaming into deliberate action. All the hours spent silencing your heart, downplaying your gifts, and yielding to others' expectations have served a purpose. They have prepared you for this day of reckoning. Now, it is time to reclaim every fragment of energy you poured into proving yourself unworthy or invisible. Call back the time you surrendered in fear, retrieve the voice you hushed to avoid conflict, and retrieve the presence you withheld to blend in with a world that no longer resonates. Speak these recoveries aloud as if you are anointing yourself with holy oil, coronating your true essence. This is your ritual, a fierce but focused declaration that you will no longer relinquish your piece of throne. Your history of self-renunciation is not shameful. It is your training ground for embodying inner authority. Within you burns a constellation of gifts that impatiently await formal naming. Sensitivity, once labeled as weakness, is your key to discerning the hidden undercurrents of truth. Insight, dismissed as overthinking, is the code book that deciphers a language of spirit. Memory, ridiculed as nostalgia, is a scroll revealing the blueprint of your origin. Discernment, mocked as suspicion, is the armor shielding you from deception. Strength, misjudged as stubbornness, is the fire that forges realities with a single word. Envision these gifts as artifacts in your divine arsenal. Keys that unlock sealed gateways, scrolls that inscribe new destinies, armor that repels discord. Recognize them now as the tools you will wield to shape the days ahead. This naming is not poetic fluff. It is the act of mapping your soul's landscape with divine precision. See how the path beckons beneath you, lit by the embodiment of clarity you now carry. Each step you take animates the map that was always embedded in your bones. You do not need to search for direction. Your forward motion generates the way, like the pillars of cloud and fire that led the children of Israel through the desert. Your awakened purpose will both guide and guard you. With every stride, the horizon unfolds. Landscapes you once thought distant coming into focus. Conversations you must have. Projects you must launch. Healing you must offer. Action here is not a series of discrete tasks, but the living expression of your name, echoing through every footfall. This is how clarity crystallizes into destiny. You are not alone on this road. All around the world, hidden in plain sight, your soul tribe awakens in unison, their nameless songs resonating with yours. Across cultural divides and time zones, kindred spirits answer the same call, forming a divine cluster larger than any earthly organization. This network of awakened beings is woven together by the threads of shared purpose, dissolving the old structures that sought to contain individuality. No longer will you dim your light to fit into a mold that is cracking under its own obsolescence. Instead, you'll stand shoulder to shoulder with those who remember the same name, creating a constellation of voices that cannot be silenced by fear or division. Now, imagine yourself standing in a ceremonial circle, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet and the vast sky unfolding overhead. In this moment, you are entrusted with the stewardship of your energy, an energetic command that transcends ego. This is not about inflating your importance, but about honoring the sacred charge you carry. You set boundaries like magical wards, choosing where to pour your attention and where to withdraw. You devote a piece of each day to the practice of invoking your true name in stillness, prayer, or meditation, reinforcing the frequency that drew you to this awakening. This is your ceremony of light, conducted in the quiet spaces between thoughts and in the sacred routines that hold your spirit. Everything you have seen, everything you have weathered has led to this final call. All the confusion, the sabotage, the veiled messages, they were tests of your resolve and confirmations of your worth. Now, you stand fully equipped to answer summons. You are ready. The fire within you is not tentative. It is a blazing beacon demanding expression. It carves a path through every obstacle, lighting the way for others to follow. Speak your name aloud. Feel the sky rend with its vibration. Let doubt dissolve beneath its resonant power. This is a final breath before you step through the portal into a reality shaped by your own divine authority. Revelation without action is like a locked door without a key, but you hold both. It is time to embody the truth you have uncovered, to let your daily life become the living testament of your awakened name. Comment realm if you feel the surge of your true name building within your spirit, and share a dream, memory, challenge, or inner knowing where its echo first found your heart. As you share, know that each story strengthens a web of this community and prepares the ground for the next phase of our journey together, where practical steps will guide you in anchoring this power, so you can walk fully in the realms you were born to open. In the hush before dawn, when the horizon blushes with possibility, you catch a flicker of your true name shimmering like mercury across the sky. It is a whisper in the wind, a voice that calls you by your essence rather than a label signed by fear. This moment is your testament. The sound you make when you speak your name ripples through the unseen, stirring ancient waters of purpose. In these early hours, you feel your identity not as a concept, but as a living presence within your chest, beating in time with the cosmos. Your name is a chord that harmonizes you with the divine orchestra, echoing across galaxies, and draw you ever closer to the role you were crafted to play. A memory surfaces of seeds sprouting in cracked earth, a symbol of resilience that mirrors your own journey. Beneath the surface, the name you carry has always been germinating, even when crusted over by doubt and the weight of others' expectations. That seed, driven by an unseen force, pushed through every barrier and drew life from the smallest drop of rain. Now it blossoms in full bloom, petals unfolding in colors no human tongue can name. You stand as proof that whatever tried to bury you only enriched the soil of your soul, nurturing the living key that unlocks dormant realms of possibility. Imagine a carved tablet, ancient and worn, inscribed with symbols you once barely recognized in dreams. Each glyph holds a fragment of your path, moments when your heart quickened at a random stranger's plight, or when silent tears bore witness to your capacity for empathy. Those symbols were never arbitrary. They were the divine signatures of your souls unfolding. As you trace their contours in waking life, you realize you've been reading your own biography written in the language of spirit. Your name, etched into that tablet before time itself, is the grid that makes sense of every blurred chapter, guiding you to the revelation that lies ahead. A vision comes to you in the soft glow of candlelight, a vast amphitheater filled with voices chanting a single syllable, your name. The resonance builds, shaking pillars of doubt and scattering shadows of self-rejection. In that sacred space, you're neither alone nor anonymous. You're the focal point of every held breath, every hopeful gaze. This image is not an idle daydream, but a spiritual truth made manifest. Your name is a rallying cry, an invitation for kindred spirits to converge around the light you carry. It transcends geography, culture, and creed, uniting all who hear it under the banner of shared destiny. In the pattern of rain against your window pane, you hear the rhythm of divine timing, each drop a heartbeat marking the unfolding of your calling. Just as the rains come in cycles to nourish parched lands, so your revelations arrive when your spirit is ripe to receive them. There was never a misstep in this cosmic choreography. Every delay, every false start was an integral beat in the symphony of your emergence. Now, as the cadence accelerates, you sense the rush of purpose coursing through your veins, urging you to align your actions with the tempo of destiny. Your name, spoken now in full force, becomes a drumbeat that propels you forward into meaningful contribution. A contrasting image rises, a child lost in the noise of crowded fare, clutching a single paper lantern as lights swirl around them. That lantern is your true name, a beacon in the chaos, unwavering and warm. Others may have led you away with false promises or borrowed lights that flickered and died, but this lantern remains infinite. You hold it high, and its glow reveals hidden paths that once lay shrouded. Every flicker illuminates a choice: to follow the transient glow of fleeting acclaim, or to trust the steady fire of your authentic identity. In choosing the latter, you commit to a path that honors your soul's resonance and guides others toward their own lanterns. A scripture less spoken echoes now in your mind. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Revelation 2 verse 29. This call extends beyond ancient congregations. It reaches you, body and spirit, demanding that you listen to the frequency of your own name. It is a summons to move from passive reception to active declaration, to become both messenger and message. When you speak your name with conviction, you enact the prophecy written in those sealed scrolls, unlocking the words hidden behind 7 seals, and unleashing the transformative power they contain. Your voice becomes the instrument through which the Spirit speaks anew. In the stillness after the storm, you feel the earth settle beneath your feet, solid, assured, imprinted with the footprint of your destiny. This settling is the world's response to the authority of your name. No grand gesture is required. A simple word suffices to ripple across the fields of possibility. You have become the living key, the one who turns a lock rather than the one who waits outside, knocking. Your journey from hidden resonance to audible acclaim completes its arc here, in this moment of quiet triumph. And yet, this is not the finale but the threshold of greater awakenings. You stand ready to step through the door your name has opened, carrying forward a divine song that only you can sing. The wind sweeps up the scattered echoes of your past and weaves them into banners of triumph. You unfurl those banners in cathedral of tomorrow. No gate remains barred against your arrival. Every threshold stands open at the whisper of your vow, and as your foot crosses a luminous threshold, you step not into the unknown, but into the fullness of your legacy. This passage marks not an end, but the genesis and odyssey that only your awakening can author. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen," to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all our supporting members for your unwavering light. 4 full prophetic revelations daily. Join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every super thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Stay the course. Chosen one, your name is the spark that ignites the world.